Greetings, fellow humans. You know me as Iceman Caesar, and this is what's up in the world today. I'm going to be talking about the latest season of Fear the Walking Dead that just wrapped up a few weeks ago. Second half of season 4. I thought it was pretty good, but I wasn't able to watch it live, episode to episode, week to week, because just with the time that the season came about. I was traveling to Vancouver for my cousin's wedding and just didn't really have a chance to watch the episodes, so I didn't want to start watching a couple and then leave a big gap in between, so I saved the first couple episodes before I went on the trip, and then went on the trip, and when I came back I had a big stockpile of them, so finally caught up just a week or two after the finale. And yeah, I know it's been a few weeks, but I still wanted to do a video because it's one of my favorite shows, and I'm really... just really wanted to talk a little bit about the season. But because of the way that I watched the season, where I wasn't actually watching it live, because usually after every episode, I watch the episode, watch the Talking Dead afterwards, and then kind of go online to try and see if anybody else's theories match my own, or to try and flesh out some more other ideas, or to just get some new ideas, or see some things that I didn't pick up on when I watched the episode. So, there's lots of talking communities online. The one on Reddit, Fear the Walking Dead Reddit, is a really good one. But I say it's a really good one, but so usually after every episode, that's one of the places that I check, for discussion. But because I wasn't able to, after I had to binge watch the season, so after I pretty much binged the whole season, watched every episode and all the Talking Deads, I decided, watch the entire thing, and I wasn't really able to watch a few and then go see that specific, discussion points. I mean, I guess I could have searched for the official threads, but just the risk of spoilers to me was too great to even go in there, even venture in there a little bit. So stayed away, but but because of that, so after I finished the finale, I decided, okay, I'm gonna go there and see what everyone thought about the season, what talking points the people are talking about, what people liked about the finale. And when I went there, the collective mood and discussion can basically be summed up in just oh man, it's like I went there and it is basically just a room full of walkers trying to rip this show apart, man. It is there is not a positive comment to be found. I mean, there is, but it's just like, man, it is crazy how strong negative feelings some people have for the whole show, and the new show, the direction the new showrunners have taken it, and it's just like, man, it's I knew, I visited there before, so I knew what the kind of tone was towards the show. I mean, I know it wasn't definitely even close to Sunshine and Rainbows. I knew there was a lot of criticism and negativity, but I did not expect there to be just really no real discussion about, I mean, there was a few discussions about the stories, but man, most of it was just complaining about what people didn't like, and about it just I was just kind of taken aback a little bit, and it honestly, like, when I was scrolling through and just kind of took stock of everything, it's like, man, this is really like kind of like The Walking Dead right now, like literally just a room full of walkers trying to rip anything any part of the show they come in contact to apart. But it's I definitely do not think this show is perfect by any stretch, and I have my own criticisms, and definitely there's things they do that I wouldn't have done, and different directions that I would have taken the story. But at the same time, these guys are doing a good job with what they're trying to do. And once you forget the attitude of it's my way or the highway, it's like you can, as long as what they're presenting is good. I mean, if everything you watch, it's like, oh, this isn't exactly what I would do. Listen, I mean, you really, I can't imagine you're gonna find too many things that you enjoy. But but if you're open and you think, as long as the things are done the right way, you know, I'm willing to buy into a story that goes in another direction that I wouldn't have taken. And I think these guys are doing a good job. Definitely not perfect, but you know, I'm just a really big fan of zombie shows and the type of stories that you can tell within them, and just the just everything that you can do with the apocalyptic world, and you know, the survival and the I just love all of that. And you know, so I'm really, you know, I'm really easy to please, because you know, any piece of that world that I'm given you know, I'll pretty much latch onto and, you know, enjoy. So it's like it would take a lot for someone to create a zombie show that I really didn't like. This show managed to do it with the first 1.5 seasons. Like as I said in the previous videos about Fear the Walking Dead, I quit watching the show, but the previews brought me back. Excuse me, but you know, I mean, I understand. And that's the other thing too, is like, I understand what these new showrunners are trying to do, and you know, why they're doing things the way that they are. I mean, these guys are, I mean, technically they're taking over a show that's already going somewhere, but really, you know, it's, to me, it's pretty clear they looked at this as, you know, we're just gonna take these, you know, basically treat it as almost a new story, and as opposed to picking up where the previous showrunner left off. I think these guys are like, we're gonna take some of these characters and some of these settings and use them to, you know, basically present a new show. And you know, and that's one of the big points of contention on the Reddit discussion, right? That's one of the big things people don't like, is how some of the characters, I mean, Nick and Madison have been killed off. I mean, the actor that plays Nick told them he was done and he wanted out, so that their hands were pretty much tied there. But you know, Madison, from everything I've read with interviews with her, I mean, she seemed like she was, you know, she wanted to stay on the show. She was looking forward to the future, and that, you know, she was pretty taken aback and, you know, kind of bummed out that she was, you know, that her character was killed off. So it's so that I understand that, you know, some people, you know, without those characters, they're just not gonna give the show a chance and want to enjoy it. But yeah, you know, and for me, it's tough too, because I enjoyed those characters. I wanted to see that, you know, where the stories were gonna go. I wanted to see them more experiences in this world. But you know, it's clear that the new showrunners decided, you know, like, this was basically gonna be a new show, just with the same characters and same settings, but you know, use that to springboard in a much different direction. And I mean, it's kind of tough, because it's like, I mean, I was not happy with the direction of the last season, the season 3, the last season that the previous showrunner had. I mean, I was not, and from everything I've heard about where he was going to take the story, you know, I would not have been happy with that, and I might not have, you know, stuck around on the show, because it's just like, you know, it's not from, you know, from some of the stuff I read. I mean, I don't want to get into all the, you know, the rumor, you know, like, I don't know what was true and not, but it's just, from what I read, I would have not been into that. And it's, so I mean, from reading that, I'm glad in this change of direction, but you know, I think that the new showrunners should have embraced the previous cast and direction a little bit more than they seem to. You know, it's almost like they came in, you know, and you know, almost like a new head coach does on a football team. You know, like they really made it about making it their own. So it's, you know, like a head coach on a football team comes in, and if he, you know, it's not his quarterback, so he didn't bring in that quarterback, so he's not gonna use him, and he doesn't want to succeed with them, because then he's not connected to that success. So it's like, you know, and some actors, you know, if they're using previous storylines, or you know, they're using a lot of the previous actors, then you know, well, they're not as, you know, people can attribute that success to, oh, well, that's just based off of what the other guy did. So you know, like, I mean, I understand wanting to put your own stamp on things, but at the same time, you know, the show had built up some really good characters, some really good stories that I feel were kind of ignored when picking up from the change in showrunners. But that's the thing. Once I understood what they were doing, that these guys were going to take probably a season to kind of explore the zombie world. I mean, it's like we didn't really see much interactions with other, like, as they're driving around, didn't really see much run into other survival groups or too many other characters other than the ones that were integrated into the stories we saw. But it's to me, I understood, right, that these guys were gonna kind of just get their feet wet in the zombie world, set this up a little bit, and like, because this season was a really confined, story within the group. Like, it wasn't any big, like, oh, we've met a big threat, like like the like the group on The Walking Dead comes that the group on The Walking Dead has ran into. They're running into villains all the time, whereas this one you had your villains, but it wasn't like like the governor running a crazy town, or trying to come and declare war on the prison, or like Terminus, or now and then the Saviors and Negan. It's like there was no real like story like that. It was really contained within survival of the storm, trying to find each other after they were separated apart, and then dealing with the threats that they were threats like Martha. We'll get into her, but it's once I understood that, I was able to enjoy it more, because my expectations were I wasn't expecting them to introduce us to a big villain type storyline. Like, I knew this was going to be kind of contained, and branching off of there, I definitely know that they're going to make things bigger, and really expand that storytelling in season 5 and beyond. But some people just have to understand. People have to understand what they're what they're seeing sometimes. And okay, if you don't like it, then I guess stop watching. But I mean, if you're if you're a fan at all of the show, I think it's worth giving it the chance. The actors are really doing a great job, presenting the story. Excuse me. The actors or actresses, they're doing a great job. The sets, I like the different tone to the shooting. I guess the cinematography, or like just like it feels different. Like the real pale colors, and like it feels different when you're watching Fear the Walking Dead as opposed to The Walking Dead. It's the Walking Dead is it's very colorful, real life. Whereas this one, it's just it's more like that Mad Max, that faded type of world. So I like that. So some of the things that they're doing, but. Just want to talk about this season. I think the best way to do it is probably just go episode by episode and just go quick thoughts about each one. So let's start right off. Episode 9, the second half of season 4. So we start off with episode 9, end of the season finale of the first half of season 4. Obviously, telling us about the death of Madison. So we're coming off of that into this last half of the season, and seeing how the characters go. And right off the bat, seeing Alicia is clearly struggling, but I really love stories like Alicia's Help Me story of finding the notes of the guy trapped, and he's shooting out the notes pinned to the walkers, hoping that someone will kill one and come try and find him. And unfortunately, when they found him, he was already turned. But I just love things like that, of following the little mysteries of the apocalypse, of the little notes on the side of a barn, or a little note on a walker, or just I just love the little things like that just a little piece of little thing like that can lead to just like a whole rainforest of a story, So it's like, I just love. I really enjoyed that. And I love seeing it kind of, Alicia's, trying to carry out, thinking like one of the best ways she can carry on her mother's legacy is to, making sure that she's helping people, which was one of the themes of the season. And but she was right off the bat after her mother's death, just she sees someone that needs help, and she feels that that's what her mom would do, so she's not going to stop until she's able to help this person. Morgan decides that he's wanting to bring everybody back to Virginia, and I definitely, obviously, I know that once Fear the Walking Dead is winding down, the it's a no-brainer to combine the, have the fear group, run into the Walking Dead group, and bring those worlds together. But definitely not now. Further down the road. So I was wondering when this whole, Morgan's plan would shift from going back to Virginia to sticking around or maybe going somewhere else or just doing. I just thought it was too early to be making that connection with the groups. So I kind of thought that something else was gonna turn that. And big storm is coming. I like that. They're bringing in some more things that it's not just scumbag people that are the villains and the problems. Like the elements would definitely become more of definitely become an issue. So it's nice to see them have to deal with that. The episode ends them chasing away Charlie, her trying to return the book that Nick gave her, and it's hard. It's hard really to care about Charlie because, it's like you understand that she's just a kid and, from her perspective, Nick was almost a bad guy, killing the guy that helped her and saved her. But, those guys were manipulating her and to believe, that they were, I really think that they, had Charlie kill Nick because, it's like he wants off the show. They have to do it. They have to kill him off and how, they want to make it they want to make it have the most impact. So, having Charlie do it is... But it's tough, obviously they want her to stick around as a character. She's a really good actress, so it's she's a good character. It's just it's really, really tough with her because we love Nick. We're connected to him from the start. And then she's the one that killed him, and his death was really that was a really intense death. It wasn't a calm like I'm okay with this. He looked like he was fighting. So. It was, the audience has that with us. So, you see Charlie, you're connected to those emotions with Nick. And it's and, you want revenge, you want to have that Nick's, death avenged. So it's like, but, Nick would never want that, first of all. But, Charlie's just a kid. And, she didn't know what she was doing. And if she did, what she did know was manipulated. So it's like, it's just, it's so tough because, it's almost impossible to just be like, it's okay, whatever. She killed Nick. That's a significant loss of a presence around. But at the same time, she's just a kid, and you can't hold it against her and blame her for it, and not. I don't know. It definitely creates interesting questions and discussions, but they really box themselves into a corner as far as her character, and it's. But it created interesting questions. But it led us into one of the best episodes I think that they've done. And when it started off, I really didn't think it was going to turn out that way. But moving on to episode 10, this was the Alicia Charlie episode, and oh man, holy shit, this episode was crazy intense. Really, really picked up when the I knew that once I knew that Charlie was the intruder in the house or whatever. And that they were going to be locked in there alone. It's like I knew the dynamic was not going to be anything close to Sunshine and Rainbows, but damn, man, wow, Alicia's speech through the door to Charlie, man, that was brutal. That was honestly tough to sit through. I wanted to go get through the TV and be like, enough, Alicia. Seriously, that is too far. And to see really great acting from the actress that was playing Charlie, I was, my sympathy was definitely up in that moment, seeing her crying, and but really, knowing she is a child that's already used a gun, she shot someone, so it's like, to me, it was not out of the question that she'd turn that gun on herself. So I was really, with her state of mind and with how harsh and extreme the things Alicia was saying to her. Excuse me, man. It got as a viewer, it got my concern way up for what Charlie was gonna do. So that was just a crazy. That was a brutal scene to watch. It was tough. I wanted to tell Alicia okay, stop, man. That is enough. So yeah, that was and that's. That's the thing. Despite the difficulty of caring for her, as soon as she's put into that situation, it's just hey, no, you want to jump in there and protect her and help her, and not And so it's just like it is, that's what I mean. Like it boxed him into a corner, but at the same time, it created some really interesting discussions. It's probably one of the best ways they could have done it, because that's why you want to watch these shows, to open up discussion like this and to just go just crazy with the thoughts and trying to think about the different scenarios and things. It's just. I honestly I really thought that Charlie was gonna use the gun on herself. Like I really thought that even there was gonna be a moment where Alicia would be alone, or like she'd be going to look for something, Charlie would be going, and then all of a sudden she'd hear a gunshot or something. Like I was really this episode had me kind of like just watching with bated breath, like just waiting for that awful moment where Charlie was gonna do something. Thankfully it never came, but. It was, it was, cool in the end when they got trapped in the basement. In the end, one of the things that's still trying so desperately to kill them ended up saving them, and all the noise probably attracted him, and he's the walker in the tree is like specifically going towards the noise, which would have been right at the. Which right at the door. So I mean, it makes it, I mean, I'm sure some people. I mean, maybe a little bit. It took a little bit of suspension of disbelief for this moment, but at the same time, it made sense with the noise. The walker would have been directed in that way, and the branch gives away. Boom! It's like, nine times out of 10, obviously that hatch isn't going to open, but whatever. We're not watching for the 9 times out of 10. We're watching for that 1 time out of 10 when the hatch opens. So I thought that was a great way to end their little story and get them out of the house. And I'm glad there was some middle ground reached between the two. And it wasn't like it's okay now. Whatever, we're sisters. It's like Alicia was like we're cool, but you, man. It's like I really liked that they're how they reached that middle ground and started moving towards. But I didn't think that this episode would turn out to be one of my favorites and one of the best, but I really think it was just, man, the way I am with that, with how that speech through the door, man. Wow, did that cut through to me. I wanted to I wanted to stop it, but it was a great episode, and I thought it was. Thought it really helped set a good tone for the rest of the season. Bringing us to episode 11, which brought in one of my really probably my favorite aspect to this season, second half of season 4. Take what you need, leave what you don't. We'll see you farther see you farther up down the road, and. God, man, that is the kind of thing I just love. I mean, I love those little messages, but this one with like messages with a help box and a legitimate help box. It's like when I first saw that story, I was just, very excited about the prospects of it, and it just really, before you knew the explanation, it just things like that just really get the imagination going. And it brings a different element to the story. Somebody actually leaving precious, valuable supplies just randomly around for anybody to take in the zombie apocalypse. Like what? Like that. You definitely don't see that every day. So I thought that was a great element to bring in. I was immediately interested and hooked in and wanting to see where the story was going. Who these characters were, who's leaving the boxes. Was it legitimate? Is it a trap like Terminus? So. I love that aspect, and I love the new characters they brought in. Sarah, Wendell, and Jim. Three great characters, great act. Oh man, but from the talking, it was learned from the Talking Dead. Didn't put it together watching the episode at first, but Sarah from 40-Year-Old Virgin, Gina. What's up? Oh man, that is great, man. That is great. That was always one of my favorite scenes. Like one of the scenes that always made me laugh. Like, okay, your name is Gina. What's up? Man, I could just quote that all day and laugh. But I always one of my favorite scenes. So I was very excited to see that it was her in the show, and she did it. Does a great job with her character. Like, just a great addition to the universe and the show. But man, Wendell, having the character in a wheelchair, it's like, man, that is such an awesome addition to the show because that's one of the things about when I was thinking one of the survival groups I guess I'd be thinking about. I always wonder when I'm thinking about zombie movies, shows, or whatever. I'd always wondered how the natives would be able to. I think they not. I think they'd be for the most part crushing the apocalypse. But but that's one of the reasons why when I saw Taka was a character in the previews, that's what brought one of the things that brought me back. The other thing is like people that use wheelchairs. It's like when the apocalypse come, it's like those who's knows more about survival and surviving than people that are confined to wheelchairs. So it's like for them to bring a character like that on the show is just it's just great, and it gives a working actor that that is in a wheelchair gives him a great job, gives him a. And not just a token character, like Wendell is a great addition to the show, and great to have that voice to be in there. Like, this is stupid, right? Or like, am I the only one that's gonna say that's gonna get us all killed? Because this is gonna get us all killed. Like he's just he's a great, refreshing character to bring in, and and fine. The last man, Jim, like. The introduction of his character and his rants about beer were just like, man, one of the greatest things. Like, I love beer. Like, I do not drink hard alcohol. Only when my cousin and people like that force shots on me. But other than that, like I love beer. I only drink beer, and I love beer. I love a brewski, and like. So but I've had similar feelings that beer is just. I just think beer has been drank. I'm preaching that whenever people like fight me. Hard alcohol is way bad. It's like, man, beer is the drink of kings. It goes back like from the earliest times they figured out how to make a brew. Okay, so it's like once I went, so like I immediately connected with the character Jim right off the bat. I was like. This is awesome, man. Like I was a little disappointed that he wasn't taking us back to his setup where he had a brewery set up and that it was a safe house or something, like running away from it. It's like no, but at least it was traveling for a little bit. Excuse me. But man, that character was just got me just so excited about, and like I almost wish that he had been introduced on The Walking Dead, because that's the group that really I would just love to have seen the reaction of Rick and Maggie in that group speech to the beer speech. Like that would have been awesome, man. It's but I was so excited for the potential of all three of these characters. I loved them. I thought they were great additions, and so but really it was you didn't really know which way to go with them, because it's like they did leave Morgan stranded on the top of the car, but it's a little bit, that's a tough one, because on one hand they did leave him stranded. I mean, he was kind of with them, but at the same time, from everything they heard on the walkie and what they knew about that he was lying about the bridge being out and everything, it's like why would they trust him? Like he basically had shown himself to be like an unreliable liar, basically. And it's like, if we help you when we all get in a pinch, it's like you've shown that you're the kind of guy that's gonna leave us hanging. So why should we help you? So it was it was a tough one, but I'm glad Morgan got out of it and got back to them and made them all come to their senses. But it was. And then, but unfortunately, all is not well. The voice that Morgan was talking to when he got to the truck stop was that crazy lady. And man, this woman is a menace. It's like, she just caused havoc the entire, every episode she was in. It was driving me nuts, man. It was, but so obviously she was doing a great job. I mean, great actress, and she put a great character on the screen. But it was just, my God, what a menace. That brings us into episode 12 and fourth episode of this second half of the season. And a SWAT vehicle is all great until you need gas, because a little jerry can not really gonna do it. You need to find a little bit more of a stash for the old SWAT vehicle. But man, it pissed me off when Quinn stole it. It's like I really, when I'm watching the heroes or watching guys I'm rooting for, I hate when they lose valuable assets like that. Like they lose their water, or they lose their medicine or their supplies. SWAT van with the protection and the weapons and everything. Yeah, kind of important to hang on to that. But so man, it was just like, no, they lost the fucking truck. But Quinn didn't get too far with it. And man, but Al is really, really pushing her luck when it comes to those tapes, and what she's willing to do to hang on to them and get them. It's like, man, she really did. I mean, June literally did almost die trying to get medicine that did not exist for those stupid tapes. So it's like she had every right to be pissed, and like I said, Al is certainly pushing her luck with those damn things. But I'm glad that she's got them around, because I want to see as much as possible of what's on those things, because that type of stuff, just, man, I could sit down and watch hours and hours of that kind of stuff. It just, I don't know why, but it just interests the crap out of me. And it's nice that I was glad that Morgan was able to find Alicia Charlie. I'm not a huge fan of like all our group, the group we like, always being separated and like never being able to find each other. It's just like, I guess that's good storytelling, but it's like, God, it drives me nuts. It's like, everyone together and let's rock and roll. But I was glad they were able to link up with Alicia and Charlie. But unfortunately, that tells the Menace exactly where they are, and so that would bring us into episode 13. And I wrote a blog post about The Walking Dead. I think it was right after the Terminus episode, because I wrote in that one, because it was like, I wrote that in the zombie apocalypse, the word help is almost like a dead word, because like, it's just with survival, and how it's basically, I mean, there's no society, I mean, it's basically just you're down. I mean, help, it's like, I mean, you got to help yourself in the zombie apocalypse, and it's like, so but at the same time, you do want to help people, but there are scumbags that will appear vulnerable, and when they get you to help them, and when you do help them, they'll turn on you and take what you have or kill you or whatever. So it's like, that's why it's so tough. It's like, but as a good person, to stay a good person, you got to help those in need, but you don't know who's truly in need. So that's why I said it's almost a dead word, because it's just like, you got to help yourself to make sure, and then it's but this lady, like, say, I said, help is almost a dead word, but man, this lady takes it to the absolute extreme, man. Like, you say the word help, and she is just like, bang, it, like, goes off on on a tear. It's just, and we'd figure out why, but at this point, we're just like, man, why is this lady, like, can't even mention the word help to her, and she just like loses it. But we see that John and Strand are dealing with their own big problem. Some big ass gator, like, looks like one of those Lake Placid type things. Like, man, the way it was taking those walkers, like, as they're basically whole as they're walking through the water, man. It's like they didn't get far before that thing was just like, boom, trying to knock them up and over. That was a pretty cool little scene in there. It really is something. You're stuck in that little island without any supplies or anything. It's like, it wouldn't take very long before that situation becomes pretty dire, and you have to figure out some way to get across. And in those times, those gators are not exactly, the behavior definitely would change with with years and years of no civilization. So I thought that was a pretty cool little twist, story twist to throw in, if they can get across this water, and if they can deal with the gator. But man, it was kind of tough to see John Dory, eat the candy and kind of give up, and his hope of seeing June and reuniting and everything. It's like he's the guy. He's got to be the last bastion of hope, man. He's like, no, I thought he was. Oh, when he ate that candy, I was just like, oh no, dude, don't give up. But we see he didn't give up in spirit. He just kind of gave up in gave up for show. But he did. But he kept going. He kept fighting in spirit. So it's and man, we got introduced to Polar Bear Clayton. Man, oh man, and like that was another character I was really looking forward to kind of exploring and getting to meet and introduced to the show. But fortunately, we see that the storm got to him, and by the time Luciana found him, he was already done for. And so I was really disappointed that he was only going to be in one episode and that he was going to die at the end of it. But I was really happy that he got his brewski, and I was, it was an awesome tie-in that Luciana got it from the box, and it was, Jimbo's beer, and it was, and then that enabled Luciana to talk to Morgan on the walkie and meet up with them. So it was. I thought that was a cool. Despite my disappointment in him dying, I thought that was a cool little twist to tie everything together. That he wanted a beer, and that, that Jim had started putting him in the help boxes, so Luciana was able to find one. So I thought that was a cool twist, but definitely disappointed that Clayton Polar Bear had to die as a character. And man, right at the end, Al and company find out how the other half lives with the SWAT truck when that damn psycho comes up on them and just tries to blow them all away when they're driving. It's just like, man, that's gotta be one of the scariest things. That big tank ass thing just barreling down on you, knowing it has one of those machine guns on the side of it. It's just like, man. Very, very, very intense scene. It's just like I said, that woman was an absolute menace, and it's just like, oh, would somebody take her out already? So it was, and that would lead us into episode 14, which would start with a flashback that would clear up why Martha, as we'd figure out that she was, figure out why she is the way she is because of her flashback of how. Her husband, they were clipped by another car trying to escape, and that caused her to have an accident, which was proved fatal for him. But during the time before he died, then maybe he could have been saved. Maybe he was in the same boat as Clayton, where the metal of the railing was the only thing keeping him together. But in her mind, he could have been helped. But literally, like people driving around her, that is just heartbreaking, man. It really. As much as I was like, wanting to see her get her comeuppance as a villain, it gave me a little bit of a softer spot for her, like knowing that she came from, now seeing where she came from, knowing that like help, her husband needed help and didn't get it. They needed help, and people literally went out of their way not to help them. And if she had been strong, then if she hadn't needed help, if she had been the one to provide help, then she could have saved her husband. So she was weak and needed to ask somebody else for help. But if she had been strong and one of the people that people would have asked for help, she could have help. But she losing her mind, that turned into anybody that asks her for help is weak and needs to be killed, because weak people aren't it's just I thought it was a great way to explain her character and really clear, it really helped, it's just see that there is, despite her awfulness as a villain, it was, she didn't start out that way. She came, there's a reason why that she ended up like that. So it was, I like to see that the flashback included there, but man, she quickly. That sympathy was quickly dissipating as she was knocking off Polar Bear's army. It's like, man, I think that was one of the most awesome groups that they've come across. The truckers that are out going around helping everybody. And so, man, the fact that she's just killing these people, just, oh man, driving me nuts. So I, I understood her in the moment with the flashback, but it's just like literally turned to like, okay, this woman needs to be gone. And then because of the damn machine gun, the semi truck blows up and they lose all their supplies, and all that commotion brings a big herd of walkers, and they got to get out of there. So they head. Sees Morgan sees on the map, or they sees on the road map, that there's a hospital they can go to, or maybe in Polar Bear's notes. I forget where he figured it out, but so they track down the hospital, and Morgan says there's going to be safe. They're going to be safe there, and Jimbo is able to make his first kill. But oh man, absolutely, I was just like, oh man, this scene I was just like, no. But Jim kills his first walker, but he gets bit, man. I was like, when he said, as soon as like, I was watching. When he fell through that walker, I was watching, and I didn't really. I thought he was gonna come out clean, because when they fell through, I'm like, no, he's gonna get bit. But I thought that he came out clean. I didn't really see a moment where like I thought he might have got it. So I thought he came clean, but when she was like, "Let me check your wound," he's like, "Oh, I just fell through glass." Like everybody knew what we were gonna see when she lifted up his shirt, and it's like, that was absolutely. And like I say, the introduction of those three characters, I was really excited to have them around and to see their stories play out in this universe. So to lose one of them during this first like half of the season, and Jim, man, like the way, like I say, man, the way he was talking about Beerus made me an instant fan, and it was just when they revealed he was bit, that was just like, no, man, you don't have to do that. You don't gotta get rid of him. So that was a huge bummer for me. I was, I love the character and this whole philosophy with the beer, and just really one of the most disappointing moments on both shows. Like I was just, literally like, no, lift up the shirt and see glass. Like, let it really actually be a glass wound, but no, damn bite. But at least Alicia and Charlie were able to rescue John and Strand in an awesome moment where they're just like, you know what? Yo, boat, drive that damn SWAT truck right through the water onto the island, pick up the boys, head back. Like, I thought that was such an awesome conclusion. It was just like, you know what? It was almost like your Indiana Jones, like where the guy's got the sword and he does the big thing. It's like, hey, you know what? Boom. I thought that was a great moment. Leading us into episode 15, second last episode of the season. Martha finds and attacks Alicia and Charlie as they're trying to find like a boat or something. But she is way too hurt. That she got shot in the exchange earlier with the group, and but obviously is not, she's out of her mind now, not doing anything to take care of the wound, and it's just getting infected and just disgusting, and really starting to take its toll on her. But so she quick. But she's way too hurt, and they're able to capture her and use the. I wrote down I don't know. Oh, I have here in the note for episode 15. They rescued them in the SWAT truck. So I thought it happened at the end of the episode 14. Maybe it happened at the beginning of this one. I don't know. But yes. So. Oh yes, yeah. Okay, yes, that's right. Because Alicia and Charlie just see John and Strand at the end of episode 14, and episode 15 is where they drive the truck. So a little premature with that, but still a great moment when it happens. And they've obviously got Martha tied up in the truck. They're not. They're not letting her go, and they're not going to leave her to die just lying there. So they bring her to the SWAT truck, tie her up when they go to rescue John and Strand. And you see this this episode 16 is or no, so no for this episode. Oh man, getting a little losing track. Sorry here, stay with me. But episode 15, you know the key word for this episode could probably be sacrifice, because you know Al had to make a sacrifice to get the group to the elevator by going to the generators alone by herself to get them going, but you know she did, and everybody got to the roof. Um, the Morgan had to sacrifice to get the group to safety, to stay on the roof with Jim, to let everybody, to create the distraction, to get everybody out of there. And then, excuse me, Jim had to sacrifice himself at the end to save Morgan and the group and to help him out of there. And oh man, you know, when Jim finally decided to reveal his recipe, and you know, man, that hit me. That hit me pretty good. I did not expect. I did not expect it to hit me like it did. You know, it was just. You know, I just really got into the character, and you know, like you know, if getting into the character, you knew that beer recipe was everything to him. Like that was his life, his legacy, his greatest achievement. It was the thing that made him relevant in the world. It was the thing that gave him, you know, made him great. It was his greatness. It was everything. It was him. It was defined him. You know, and it gave him importance. It gave him self-worth. It gave him and it would give the world life. He just blended, you know, you just knew as a viewer he believed in it so much, and it was just, you know, and, you know, and he was just so optimistic about surviving. Like, he knew he was going to survive and make this beer and, you know, find a group that was going to figure out how to set up a permanent, you know, set civilization and set something up that's going to stick around permanently. And he just knew. So he was so optimistic. So for him to actually, you know, and even after he was bit, he stayed, you know, like, I'm not giving up my beer, you know, almost like, you know, I'm gonna survive, like I'm not gonna turn or something. And it was just like in that moment for when he finally, you know, for him finally to give the beer recipe to to Sarah, and it was I don't know, man. It's just yeah, as he's saying it, just really, really, and he's standing on the roof, and it was just man, you know, it just really that moment really, yeah, you know, it definitely hit me, and it was just it was you know, I thought, you know, as tough as it was to lose the character of Jim, I thought it was a really great moment to have on the show and TV, you know, and it's like. Maybe if the character had stuck around, it, you know, wouldn't have been as good. You know, like I just really disappointed for the future, but I thought that was just a really great way to go out, where he hung on to his recipe to the very end, where he realized, like, you know what, there's no surviving for me, and you know, it's just something about you know, I guess I saw a lot of me in Jim. I get, you know, like in something that, you know, like a simple small idea can change the world, can save the world. You know, even the small even the you know the smallest maybe insignificant person can have the biggest impact, and you know, have a biggest change. So I guess, you know, I was really surprised to hear people thought Jim was the asshole of the season, or that he was like this big I don't to me, like he was just kind of like a little bit of a coward, I guess, would be his worst. He'd always leave everything, all the dangerous stuff up to everyone else, and just be along for the ride. And you know, and I didn't think he was really. I mean, a little bit of a jerk sometimes, I guess, but I didn't really get this big. You know, he's kind of like the bad guy, or like the big asshole of the group. Like at the end, you know, he was like, once he realized he was gonna die. Like you know, I mean, I think you could sympathize with that a little bit, but it was. You know, just for somebody to actually just accept that, you know, like, yeah, this is it, I'm gonna die here, so I'm gonna give my recipe out, and hopefully it lives on. You know, for him to, and then when he gave her the last little word, like, I just love that's the last little piece of the recipe. I just love that, and it was, you know, didn't want the character to end, but a great way to end it. And you know, the actor did a great job, and you know, it sucks to lose the character of Jim, but it was great to. Definitely brought a lot to the show while he was on it, and will have a lasting legacy with the beer and everything like that. So the only thing, like, Jimbo's beer bows, like, what the hell is that? Like, there's like 10,000 other better names you could have. Jimbo's Beerbos. Like, all right. But at least they're making the beer in real life, I think. That's pretty awesome. But, and, you know, looks like, you know what, Martha had been tied up, but, man, there is no stopping this woman. She is a Terminator. She is up and gone and escaped, and once again got the bullseye on Morgan. So that leads us to episode 16, and Al is able to escape the generator room, but right into Martha's path. And, you know, Al surviving that confrontation, you know, stretching things a little bit, but, excuse me. You know, like, I mean, coming face to face with the villain, getting knocked completely out unconscious, and then being deposited back to the group safe and sound. Kind of stretching things a little bit, but I guess the story was she wanted to deliver a message to the group, and then Al was how she's going to do it. So, guess it makes sense. A little bit of a stretch, but if the keyword to episode 15 was sacrifice, then the keyword to episode 16 was stretch, because there was a lot in this episode where they required the viewer to stretch, I believe. And, you know, it's like, I mean, Morgan immediately trusts this villain psychopath woman to open the window when he's driving at a high speed right by a big rock wall. And it's like, open the window so she can do anything she wants to him. And obviously she causes a big crash and he gets the thing impaled in his leg. Man, it's like, okay, you know, if you're going to give her medicine, pull over to the side and hand it to her. You don't open a window while you're driving at a high rate of speed so she can get her hands on you. Like, that, okay, that was a little bit of stretch that Morgan would be dumb enough to do that, but all right. And, and then at the truck stop, like, she opened, like, hundreds of, like, all those bottles literally perfectly so that while these guys are drinking them, they have no idea that they've already been opened, like, when they drink them. So, but, I mean, she had time to painstakingly remove them from the packaging and put them out. Like, I get that they needed to poison the group, but, you know, I mean, that's kind of a, yeah, let's just do it, and who cares if it makes sense to me. So it's like, but it's wasn't too big of a stretch. I can still make it, so we're still all right. And then man, like, one of the most ridiculous things, the losing of the ethanol from the bullet holes. Like, this was too much, man. It's like they're literally sitting there trying to get the lever unstuck so they can get the ethanol to pour out into the jug. Al has to blow away the walkers with the gun, so she does. But unfortunately, some of the bullets hit the tanker, and the ethanol's pouring out. So now the camera pans to their faces. Now I'm thinking as a viewer, oh, we're about to see an excited, happy reaction from these guys. Because now, they don't need to turn the lever. They can walk up to where the bullet holes are, stick the things under there, or cup your hands. Like, literally, like, I mean, it's pouring out now, so you can do whatever. But then, they're like, oh no, how could we ever get access to the ethanol now that it's pouring out of the truck? What the hell? I was just like, what? What are you talking about? Like, run up to it. What are you guys doing? Like, don't let this go. Oh, man. That to me was just like, what are you guys doing? Like, nobody in the writer's room was like, why wouldn't they just put their buckets underneath the fucking bullet holes? I'm sorry, but to me, that scene was just like, okay, like, I'm stretching as far as I can here, but you're asking, like, impossible stuff with that one. And Morgan walking, like, literally, like, must have been hundreds of miles on that, like, on an unhealthy leg. Like, even on a healthy leg, that would have been like, all right, but, like, literally, like, dragging his, on a leg that's just been stabbed through, and he had to like rip out the metal thing that was impaled in there. Like, man, like I love seeing a character fight through adversity, and I did not want to see our group die. Obviously, you know what? But I mean, there's a stretch to how you can. I mean, I don't know. It was just, it was just really, it seemed like a lot of things were done where it was just like, we don't really need to worry about explaining it, let's just do it. So it was, like, it was just kind of, and then, Morgan drives up and with the beer truck he somehow found and saved the day. And, I like the concept of the beer being the stuff it has enough ethanol to save them, but it's, I saw some people on Reddit saying that's not how ethanol is processed. You have to have. It's like, oh, that I don't care about. It's like the beer saving the day. That's a cool little twist to it. But man, like the way they got there was just like, whew, like a lot. More attention to detail needs to be paid if you want these shows to keep bringing in the high viewers and to build upon viewership. Like the viewers love details. Like they're not boring. They're not things we skip over. They're not things we don't want. They're not things that we don't notice. They're the things that keep people talking about it throughout the weeks and months between shows and seasons and things like that. Like you have to pay attention to them, or else people are just. They're not going to have anything to talk about or sink their teeth into, and they're not going to keep coming back. So it was just a lot piled on. But I really did like how the beer saved the day. But like I say, getting there was a huge stretch, and it's sometimes an impossible stretch. But despite the stretching, I still love the finale. I still love the season. Morgan going back and finding that she had literally ripped her arm off to escape. Like, wow, this woman was literally obsessed with not being weak in her mind or whatever. Like, it was a really great job done by her. A really great villain. She was a menace. I wanted her gone. I'm glad she's not around anymore as a villain. But as a villain, she did a great job in bringing those emotions out of me. So it's excuse me. Despite how there was some stuff, a lot of stretches, some impossible. Enjoyed the season. Enjoyed the finale, and like I say, it's more about once you understand what the showrunners are doing and what they're going to be doing with the shows, you know that. You just can't. You're not going to expect this crazy, a big crazy storyline to come, or lots of interactions with big world building. Like this is a very contained within our group, kind of small season. But these guys, this is their first full season. I'm sure they wanted to explore the zombie genre and tell some smaller stories. Some stories that had a little bit more to think about, more meaning. Before they get into the big action and the big. Like the villain, bring in some villains, bring in some more stuff like that. So it's, I knew what they were doing, and some people are not willing to accept that. Some people are like, we want the old show. We want, people. Some people are never going to be pleased. You can tell by their comments, but it's like, I can see some of what they mean. A lot of, with some of the things they've done with the original cast, and the way they really just kind of forgot about what happened at the dam when they started the season. Like I think they should have been more of a more of a connection to that story and done a little bit more there instead of basically just doing a big time skip. But I know they wanted to bring Morgan in, so it was a little bit different. But it's I really think this show has tons of potential. They have a great crew of actors. They have they have good sets. They have good like I said, the style of the show, the way it's shot is great. The cinematography, it's really lots of potential. They just gotta the writers and the showrunners have to come up with a direction and story that's gonna make people excited and that's gonna build these characters up, bring in new ones that can enhance the story and our characters and. I really think they need to be careful about, killing off how many more of the original cast. They, how quickly they keep killing off people, because it's like, man, you have to build, you have to build connections and relate. Build like, you just have to. I mean, you want to establish that this is the main group. So the longer they're around, the more story they tell. The more used to get seeing them, and just the more. I don't know. The more change there is with the main kind of heart and soul of the story, I think the harder it is to grow it and to grow viewership and things like that. So they really just have to figure out a story and a direction that's going to stay true to the original characters and a little bit of that original direction, because it's pretty way different now. I mean, but just stay true to that original vision and characters, but at the same time take it just in a completely new direction and just really take it to an awesome place where this cast can kick some serious ass, because I think they got the potential to do it, and they did a good job. Did a really good job with this season, and you just have to know what it is they're going to be, what kind of a story they're going to be telling, and once you do, I think you should be able to enjoy it. But moving into the future, it looks like the group is going to. They're not. I'm glad the story turned. They're not going to head to Virginia to meet up with the Walking Dead group. They're going to set things up in the Denim Factory and continue Polar Bear's work. Man, I think that is awesome. I'm excited for to see that set up. Excuse me, in the new season. I mean, I could sit there and I could flesh out an entire season, of a fantasy storyline for all the characters and stuff. But I got to keep a lot of that to myself, a lot of that stuff to myself, because so I still got delusions of grandeur. Maybe one day I'll be in a position to make contribute to a zombie story or make one of my own. So it's I'm not gonna put very many of my ideas out there, specific ones, because it's just ideas are the best form of currency in entertainment and creativity. So it's you got to be careful about that. But I just with season 5, I just really think they need now that they really had a season where they told confined with in group story really. Now I really think they need some structure and some world building, and to really open things up, and to, because now that they're going to be setting in a central location in the Denim Factory, like I'd really like to see this set up to some place that they can defend if people come at them, or because I mean, well, in the zombie apocalypse, I mean, there are so many types of people. You have to be dangerous types of people. I mean, people that don't want scumbags that don't want anybody being helped, scumbags that want to steal all the supplies you're helping people with, scumbags that just want to see the world burn, and just anything that's good, they're going to tear it down, and they're going to attack and kill. And there's some people that or think they're doing good, but they're actually bad. So there's lots of potential, threats for these guys. But I really think they need to kind of start some world building here. Like these are the groups around that have, set up around the area. There's a safe thing here. This is a very bad place. You do not want to go there. So there's lots of things you could set up. Like I say, I could talk for hours and days about, potential and ideas for like where the story could go and things you could do. But, gotta keep the, keep most of that under wraps. But it's I really think that they if they try to do another season of just that confined within the group storytelling, similar to what they did in season 4, that really gonna have a tough time holding on to viewership and growing. So it's I really hope that they sit down and figure out some really good direction for season 5, and just put the pedal to the metal, because it's this show's at the point where it really needs to get that great season under its belt. I don't think that, I mean, they've had really great halves of seasons, but I don't know if one season has been really like a home run all the way through. That's going to actually make a splash to bring in new viewers and make a mainstream splash. So this show is really getting close to the point where it needs to deliver on that season, or else it's going to be, they're going to start these season renewals are going to start getting a little bit more a little bit more tight. So it's but I think that hopefully AMC still has faith in the show, but season 5 they got to deliver. They've set something up good, so hopefully hopefully they can create a good story. They got a pretty good team together, so I have faith, and I'm really looking forward to season 5 and seeing where they take things from with our crew set up in the denim factory. But a few just random fan things that I want. Man, Lou Diamond Phillips directed an episode. Man, how awesome is that? Lou Diamond Phillips, Richie Valens. Man, when I was a kid, watched La Bamba. He was Richie Valens, and like when I was, when my mom or dad showed me a picture of Richie Valens, I'm like, that's not Richie Valens. As a kid, it took me a long time to come to terms with, okay, yes, that is an actor, Lou Diamond Phillips. He's not Richie Valens. This person that doesn't look like Richie Valens is Richie Valens. It took me a long time as a kid to come to terms with that, but I always had lots of love for Lou Diamond Phillips. That's a guy. Still a couple hundred episodes back from current on Talk is Jericho. But man, if Lou Diamond Phillips has not been a guest on Talk is Jericho, what the hell is going on, man? Like Lou Diamond Phillips, Richie Valens, that's rock and roll. Talk is Jericho is all about music and entertainment and whatever. So I mean, Lou Diamond Phillips is is a guy that needs to be on Talk is Jericho. And he's a guy that needs to be a character on Fear the Walking Dead. He's expressed desire to do it. He's an amazing actor. He would be a great addition to the show. And I'd be really excited to watch him on there. So hopefully he directed an episode. He's in the family. They know about him. So hopefully the guys are gonna think up a role for him and bring him in, because Lou Diamond Phillips is the man. And I would be so pumped to see him as a character. And man, please, please, please bring back Kelataka Walker and Crazy Dog. And, a Daniel that has come to his senses. Like I've said before, I haven't always been his biggest fan, but a fun character, and he's still out there. But man, Taka and Crazy Dog, like those two need to be back. Love those characters, and I'm just waiting for the time where our group gets in peril, and all of a sudden, that arrow comes and saves them. It's like, Alicia's still got that connection, so it's if she ever gets in trouble, I'm just be waiting for that arrow to show up. But there's an idea, man. Have Taka and Crazy Dog are your aces up your sleeve. It's like, and Daniel too. He's a huge fan favorite. So, but. Man, so I thought I saw a mention on Reddit that the actor, the actor for Walker doesn't want to come back. No, please, I hope that is not the case, man, because I was such a big fan of him and the character, and that would be a shame if he didn't want to come back and reprise. If they wanted to bring him back and he wasn't really interested, so hopefully they can come together and figure out a way to bring his character back and really tell some good story. And because man, he's the he's like he could be the Daryl, like he could be the the big, the big weapon for the good guys, the hero. So I really want Taka and Crazy Dog back. But like I say, I'm looking forward to season 5. I enjoyed season 14 once I realized what it was, what they were doing with it. So but if you don't want negativity, man, do not go on Reddit, because holy shit. Like I say, like the equivalent of clicking on Fear the Walking Dead Reddit right now is just it is, they are just tearing that show apart. But that is gonna be it for me. We got The Walking Dead 2 or 3 episodes in right now. I've enjoyed it so far. 2 episodes in, third one just went down tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see where they take that season. I'll be doing a video once the season comes to a close. Better Call Saul, doing a video on that next week. So just really all the shows that I'm enjoying have become had really good seasons, had really good finales. Fear the Walking Dead, Better Call Saul, Walking Dead starting out good. So hopefully Walking Dead keeps rolling, and then it's just Game of Thrones. God, I mean, I don't think they set an official date yet, but hopefully it comes in like March or something like that, because it has been a long wait, and I want to see this come to a close. Excuse me. So, but that's gonna be it for me. I'm really looking. That's gonna be it for me. I'm gonna keep talking, but it's just it's. I'm a really big fan of the cast. Jenna Elfman on on the show. You know, she does a great job. It's nice to see her you know, she's been, you know, obviously still been acting, but it's nice to see her in acting in a show that I'm watching regularly again. You know, like John Dory, man, he's so awesome. Strand, just, you know, and Alicia's did a really good job stepping up her character, her acting. This, I know I'm using the characters' names, but it's too. Man, it's just like once I get started on these videos, it's just like a big jumble when I try to remember names. So. But you know, like it's just an awesome cast, lots of potential, and I'm excited for season 5. And I just hope people don't let the negativity keep them from the show, and people give it a chance. And I really hope they present a story in season 5 that's gonna live up to the potential that, you know, I feel the show has. So, but that is actually gonna do it for me now. Thanks everyone for coming along for the ride, and we'll see you soon down the road. Much love and God bless. Peace.